Hello, and welcome back to Part 6 in Slices. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jim.
And welcome back to our Part 6 anime recap discussion podcast, where you're discussing episode 30 to 32, or the Heavy Weather arc.
Heavy, I think you mean heavy forecast, because that's a term that makes sense when you say it out loud.
Yeah. Just like driver down, or
yeah,
diver
drive.
Diver drive.
They just stopped trying with these.
Yeah.
At least with AC/DC, they were like, okay, we're going to make a brand new word for this one.
And like cars with a K, and...
Whammoo is funny, because...
Whammoo's great.
Whammoo is like really fucking funny. But that's just what they're saying.
I mean, we knew how little effort they were going to give when they didn't stick with Flaccid Pancake.
It's true. What do they call that one? Didn't they just call it like Purple Haze Feedback or something?
Yeah, they call it Purple Haze Feedback. Oh, yeah, they were cowards for backing out of Flaccid Pancake. Like,
what is it actually called? Limp Bizkit. Didn't they call it like Limp...
Limp-listed. It was like
Blimp Brisket.
It was like really dumb. Like
Limp Brisket.
It was like, Limp Brisket.
Okay, so...
I'm not going to look it up. I don't feel like
What are we talking about?
Well, we start with Heavy Weather at Part 1, or Heavy Forecast, as Jim
Heavy
wants
forecast.
to say.
Heavy forecast.
So yeah, we're basically going to be talking a lot about Heavy Weather, also named after... I hate... The name for Weather Report is such a fucking convoluted thing in this.
Yes, like, my brain always forgets that Heavy Weather and Weather Report are different. And it's weird. It's strange.
And I'm like, why did they try to keep the name a secret? He loses his memory and all, but like his memory leaving is also various between characters who get their memories taken from them. But like, I guess, did they not want him to remember? I understand they not wanting him, to remember, but at least the name, you think, okay, he remembers his name not being Pucci, so it wouldn't spoil anything.
I don't know. We learn in this arc that Pucci can like remove very specific things from his body.
He basically has Gappy's ability.
He just takes his eyesight away.
Yeah, you think Heavy Weather complicated. We have what's it called? White Snake is bullshit as well.
So I think that Pucci's a better description of White Snake's power is that it basically just has like total organic body control, because it can just kind of just do whatever. It can make you melt. It can make you
mind control.
Yeah, mind control. He can remove memories. He can remove like sand, which that's even more. That's like a spiritual.
You take away aspects that you have, or just traits.
Yeah. So great. We love Pucci. Very funny character. Also hilarious that he did not think to blindfold himself. It was, I must remove the eyesight into tiny little like. They're like those UMDs, like the PSP.
The PSP discs that are in the case. I was looking at like Pucci could have, he could have worn the blindfold, but like you think he moved the vision or his eyesight, like his eyes would go dim, but no, you wouldn't tell. Yeah,
I don't think they look any different, which is fine, I guess, but whatever. Okay, so.
But we get Bully McGuire. I mean, Bully Weather Report of pushing down people, and I guess he doesn't do him with a bunch of bitches. Like the panel,
I guess not.
Which he did.
I forgot about
in the manga, which is very funny. It's just a part of stuff like Ansley. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
He's like, I'm being a bro.
And
so yeah, just like coming out from the last episodes, the big thing was Versace. I'm just gonna call him Versace.
Donatello.
He somehow found. It's so stupid.
He found
it doesn't make sense.
A memory of Pucci. In a rock that had the memory disc on him
of Weather Report, and he was able to extract this disc through the memory.
Either that, or that's how he found out Pucci had it on him. So he pickpocketed Pucci, but I highly feel like
it seems like the way that scene was done. It seems like he picked it out of the memory, which is really interesting. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah,
but it's very like Evangelion 2.22, where Shinji like reaches through reality to bring Rei back, but he actually fails. He's like reaching through memories of the Earth to like, which it's just interesting. I'm fine with this.
There's a lot of
I'll allow it.
I literally forgot how much verses is in this arc,
which I really really like. I think I have to say my impression of the ending here is good. Like I generally have liked these episodes a lot more than like
the first half,
even just part 2. Like, by part 2, I mean like the second batch.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing I want to say also is I think I came into the second batch really like annoyed and with like a chip on my shoulder just because I thought we were gonna have to wait a whole nother year for the third batch. And when it was literally like, oh yeah, in like 3 months we're gonna get it, I suddenly like love part 6 now, and I have like no issues with part 6. And
well, it's also like the second batch also like the worst arc in part 6. So like
it does have some of the worst stuff.
Yeah, like Yo-Yo Ma.
No, he's the best.
Only you think that.
It was actually, I thought that was like a not done well in the,
a lot of that
in the anime.
I said Planet Wave like the one thing I really liked in that. So,
but yeah, so one thing I wanted to say was I like that Versace doesn't just die at the end of his arc. I like that he sticks around for this, and it's pretty interesting his like little character journey. I like that he's given this like goal of like, I'm gonna be the heaven guy, and he like fucks up Emporio because
Underworld
of it.
over heaven.
Yeah,
Netherworld
over heaven. If only we could find out what that power would be.
But there's some very funny shots of like him running away. Like the run animation looked like a speed racer.
There is some very funny animation in these.
And like some of the questionable stuff he does to Emporio is very funny as well.
Like, the parts when he's like undressing Emporio just look so like horrific. From like, if someone were to have seen that happening,
there's a shot of like of literally Hermes and Jolyne running towards him, just seeing him like drag the child by his ear and like pulling his trying to take his belt off.
Yeah, the part when he's like trying to take the belt off, I'm like, all right, Versace, you're about to get added to a list.
It's very funny, but yeah, we get the Donatello runs away because he got attracted by Pucci being menacing and then drifting into the shadows of a cave. And what's it called? They just go back to the hospital because
the pit was only like 6 feet deep the whole time.
So yeah, he can also just like mess around with space as well.
They were in like a whole different reality.
He can make a pocket dimension essentially.
Essentially, yes, you're correct. At least that's how I interpret it.
Yes,
which is really funny because they spend a lot of time like underground talking, and it's just like they're just
Pucci and
hanging out.
Pucci and Versus are just sitting there, just like literally commentating and like spectating it.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off.
You're good.
One thing that is like one of those creepy phone moments that I had was, so I said the word Versace one time in our last recording, and I've gotten fucking Twitter ads for Versace.
Interesting.
Literally listening to you at all times. Just your fucking phone's listening to you at all times. It's
damn. Where's my West ads then? The fuck? You gotta talk about guests.
It's guests.
It's guests so much.
Now that you said the word guests, you're gonna get them in like 24 hours.
God, I'm right here for your fucking ads. You can send me all your.
I was like
Quest
furious.
merch.
I was like, "Are you fucking?" Oh, first off, why would I buy a Versace bag? Come on, look at me. Look at me.
Yeah, great. Yeah, gonna be sponsored by Versace and Gucci.
Derek
and
Versace and Giuseppe Gucci.
And then Fred Durst also sponsors us with Lit Bizkit's new album, whatever it's called.
The Gucci Prada underwear.
The Gucci flavored hot dog water. No, but yeah, we get the intro is the snails and everything, where everybody's turning into snails and leaking snails and CGI mess.
I have like a visceral reaction to this just because it's so creepy. And like specifically the snail eggs. Like first when they get touched by the rainbows, they just start like shooting out like snail eggs, and it's really gross to me because I don't know, it's just fucking disgusting.
I was like, bro, this is like the episode of SpongeBob where they turn into snails slowly.
Yeah, they get the snail plasma injections.
Yeah, it's so funny.
They like actually get injections. It's funny. I do want to talk about. I feel like the elephant in the room is Uzumaki. I meant to look it up.
Yeah.
So Uzumaki, by Junji Ito, very famous.
Still waiting on that anime.
Yeah, right.
Still waiting after over a year. It's probably the next.
It's been like two or 3 years.
Probably the next longest wait thing we've been sitting for.
So Uzumaki was serialized in 1998, 1999. Mm-hmm. Very famous, obviously, Junji Ito, very famous Japanese horror artist.
Never heard of him.
A mangaka. Yeah, he's pretty much like the horror guy. If anyone knows about Japanese horror in manga in the modern age, it's probably through him. But Uzumaki is one of my favorite manga. I love it. It's a great story. And each chapter is kind of like an individual horror story that is all combined into one. Really great stuff. But about halfway through, there is one story that is centered around there's this curse that's like affecting this town, and it manifests in like these really like strange and esoteric ways. And one of them is one kid just starts turning into a like a large snail. And the way that it's portrayed in that chapter is like scarred me for my entire life because it is not like an instant thing. Like in this, it's a really quick transformation in this episode. But in Uzumaki, it's like over the course of several days. And he like, first he can't run as fast. He's sweaty. He's all mucusy. And then he just slowly starts to crawl around and eventually turns into a snail himself. And the gross, horrifying thing is like the bully that like pushes him because he's all gross also turns into a snail because of the contact. And then the teacher does too because the teacher touches them. And it's fucking disgusting. And I feel like Araki, if he didn't get inspired by that, he definitely like would have been kind of like, because this was written in like 2006 maybe.
You probably
because this is late part 6, so I know part 8 started in part 7 started in 2000. Wait, actually, when did part 7 start? I think it might have started in 2000.
So this is like, this arc is like 2002 apparently. The in-store date was like
okay,
July
so
23rd, 2002.
So then that would have kind of aligned. It would have been a few months to a few years after Uzumaki came out, and I feel like there's like a through line to me, like the whole idea of like the horror of slowly becoming a snail, like becoming slow. Also the touch thing, like
and we also know
getting
that
infected.
Araki loves horror, especially horror movies and probably
Yeah.
horror manga as well. I'm assuming because a lot of the part 3 stuff are based off famous horror movies.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because it's like a contemporary. Like normally Araki's inspirations are like
Even part 4
way early, like
had a lot of like local like horror legends, like also.
yeah, there's they have that kind of like folklore thing.
So Araki's definitely a big horror buff.
Definitely, and I think like it does look really silly, and I like laugh a lot at the designs, but the whole concept, especially the pouring of eggs, like having like millions of snail eggs pour out of your arm is really
any
gross
kind of
to
egg
me.
spewing out of you is gross.
Yeah,
but also a funny thing with Verse is that he can also he makes custom holes in the ground to view.
Yes.
That's where he can have like little like variety sizes of memory, like little tiny Jolyne and
there's like a
Ernie's.
4-inch tall Jolyne. It's really funny.
And Gwes is like, yo, they'd be best friends. But no, yeah, it's just very funny. Yeah, a lot of snails. Snails are it's probably one of the most famous stands in JoJo. There's probably a list of like what the most confusing stands that people make lists of, or like over the top JoJo stands. It's probably in the top 5, I would assume.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think part of it is that it like a lot of these stands, it's just overly complicated. Like
yes.
So weather reports stand, as we first understood it, was controlling the weather.
Any weather phenomenon he can just do, which is bullshit because it rained frogs one time, so he could do frogs now.
You could like any sort of like state that happens in nature, you could imply as weather, and then you could make it happen as like a power for him. So this gets like I kind of just want to jump to the chase and talk about it, but we'll get to it. Yeah, like he is extremely contrived. Power-wise, heavy weather is.
Yes. So luckily though, by this point the wiki finally had the update for the differences in manga and anime.
Oh, good.
So
does it say the scene with the girls is gone?
Well, this is the first episode. We have Jolyne and Hermes enter a car with Snail eating insects before confronting Versus. So they encountered the bugs earlier before.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that kind of like I feel like I remember that now.
Hermes' eyes don't become snail-like. Oh my god! Remember how?
Yes. I was waiting for that to happen because it happens to Versace.
Yes.
Or Versus, whatever. But
you can just say Versace. We all know.
I'm gonna keep saying Versace and keep getting targeted ads. But yeah, I remember that. And I thought that like it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, did I like Mandela effect that for myself? But no, yeah, it's funny when she has the funny snail eyes.
Yes. And, remember when the Miami Dolphins came out?
Yes.
So Versus actually names Larry Zonka, who I did mention when we were watching it, because he unleashes the 1972 Miami Dolphins, who were the only team to be undefeated through the entire regular season and won the Super Bowl.
Was that in Miami?
I'm not sure. I don't think it was in Miami. But
okay, but they would have been there.
Yeah, they would have played in Miami or Florida at some point, either here or Tampa Bay, probably.
I love this. The more that Versace is around, I love this.
Yeah, the one of the greatest NFL football teams ever, like with Dan Marino.
What he should have done is he should have summoned the 88 Flyers. There's like a whole Simpsons gag about like because like in like 1988 or some year, like the Flyers had like the most like violent team ever. They would just like fight everyone.
I don't think like there's Oh my god! It was called. There's a year where the New Orleans Saints were so bad that the entire city called them the Aints, and they all wore paper bags over their heads because they were embarrassed to be fans by them. It's very funny. It's a very funny football history. But yeah, it's very funny. You just summon like Larry Zonka, former running back / American Gladiator host, to just run up a palm tree.
Runs up a palm
He grabs
tree.
a coconut off the tree. It was very funny.
Oh, I thought he just had like a football in his
It
hand.
looked like a football, but he was grabbing like a coconut to be a football. It was very weird. But entire sequence of Weather regaining his memories and attacking a doctor and patient are altered to occur outside the hospital instead of inside a hospital.
Okay.
And the scene of Weather killing 2 women he picks up by electrocuting them is removed. So they cut out him with bitches.
They tried to make him, I guess, a little more redeemable.
Not like
He definitely killed that doctor, though, right? Like,
I mean, he became a snail at some point too. So yeah, he like fried his insides, and if he didn't die, just like those children that ran away freely, they are probably dead via snailing. Because how many people also died just from snail bugs, which I never heard of?
All right, I want to talk about the fucking snail
Snail eating bugs.
just the snail power. So
Okay, go ahead.
am I misremembering? I thought this is how it worked. Okay. So the misdirect is that they think they're turning into snails.
Yes.
What's actually happening is that Weather Report is creating subliminal messages,
Yes.
which Pucci says may have pictures of snails in them.
through the
ozone.
rainbows. Through the rainbows.
Which he's somehow controlling through ozone.
Also, Weather can just destroy the ozone at will if he chooses to. He can destroy the world.
Yeah, that could also happen, but thankfully it doesn't. But so and then this is so if I remember correctly, there's like a 2-page spread in the manga, and he basically is like refracting light, like using ozone, I believe, to make the rainbows exist. So he's refracting the light to split it into rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is combined with the subliminal power
It is
that
also-
is making you think you're turning into a snail. You're not actually turning into a snail. That's what I remember.
Yeah, he also cannot control it.
In this, it seems like they are still transforming into snails. I thought it was all in their head. I thought there was actually no snailification happening.
No snailification?
No snailification.
But like everybody can see the people turning into snails though.
But that's also part of it.
Yes.
Am I wrong? Dear fans of the show, dear listeners, am I wrong?
My remembrance of shit like this is not the best, so.
I like it more if they just think they're turning into snails because it's funnier.
But everybody's visibly seeing snails all over the place, like on the ground, like. They say we can't touch these snails because if they touch these snails, they might transform.
Yeah, they think they see.
They've seen the episode of SpongeBob too, and they're like, we can't touch the snails. They can't bitten by snails. You probably know better than me, but
I might be wrong. I typed in heavy weather abilities and they did not give me what I wanted. Oh, here we go.
Go ahead. The stage is yours.
Also, I have to say, like, the rainbows, they look like a lot scarier in the manga to me. The rainbows didn't scare me. In the manga, the rainbows, like, actually scared me.
I think I can understand that.
There was something like really cool about it.
Because I guess they're also in black and white as well for the most.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean, like, personally, I read the colored scan, so I don't know.
You have to like draw them a little like darker, I guess, because of so you can understand like see them better, maybe. I don't know. And also,
so I think I am wrong. I think it actually is. Wait, it's eventually explained the heavy weather subconsciously alters the atmosphere and creates a subtle light projection with the sunlight that, if viewed, causes organisms to all think themselves as snails and forcing a transformation. So the transformation is actually happening. Also,
the funny thing is like, that Jolyne figures out is like if you have a stand, you get affected by it slower, which is very funny because Versace gets like horribly like fucked up by it in like 2 touches. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Also, some people get a like horror with like, the eyes turning into the snail eyes and everything. And what do you think of like the snail looks to everything with like the CG snails?
It's fine. I mean, the CG JoJo stuff is always going to look bad in my opinion compared to like other CG anime. But it was fine. I liked I was surprised at all the character designs they did. Like all the background characters turning into snails.
White Snake also wasn't that much CG White Snake
That's
as
true.
you saw early on.
I don't know if there was any CG White Snake in this.
Don't think so.
I just want to say this is a 13-part chapter. In the manga, it's 13 parts.
I thought
crazy?
So. I said there's a lot of fucking fights that just drag in the manga, but like the anime has been like mostly good with the pacing of a lot of these fights. Like, we had 3 episodes for it, and one episode was entirely backstory. Like,
yeah.
So I guess we can talk about the backstory episode, the Pucci weather.
Which also, I just want to say, from like a construction standpoint, like they definitely got rid of scenes, shifted stuff around.
Yeah, I'll go over that.
It was really smart for them to do. The first episode is like intro to heavy weather. Second episode was like all flashback, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then the third episode was resolution. I thought that was pretty smart from like a construction standpoint.
But this was also probably one of the biggest episodes. People were wondering what they're gonna do, because what can they show?
Yeah, so probably this might be like one of the most controversial, not from like a fan standpoint, but from like a normal person standpoint.
This is kind of a fucked like arc or backstory thing in multiple ways. But first off, before we talk about that stuff, we talk about like Dio being a fucking weirdo and just sitting under a stone, like I don't know what, like a coffin or a stone slab.
What did it say?
And tripping Pucci.
Ossuary? I've never seen that word before. I wanted to look that up. Ossuary. I'm assuming it's some sort of like.
I thought it was like an Italian or like some kind of European like church or whatever.
It's a container or room in which bones of the dead are stored. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why Dio was sleeping underneath it and have his curly boots out there like the Wicked Witch of the
I was thinking
West.
that too. It looks like the Wicked Witch.
Oops, you tripped on me. Like, I need to stay here. I'm going to the sun. Like, okay.
I do love this scene.
Dio's great.
Dio, like,
Dio's voice
having a
actor's great.
fetish for Pucci is funny. This may be the last we see of Pucci. I mean, sorry, of Dio.
Probably. And it's very funny how this is like the only time ever where Dio, like, constrains himself to not murder somebody at first sight. It's very
true.
Funny
he knew. He knew that little black priest had something going on.
Yeah, the backstory of so yeah, this is like the thing where like, you know, whether but this one mother had a dead baby.
Wait, first off, before we say that, Dio does also say his iconic line, "Do you believe in gravity?" here, which it's kind of like a lampshade, but you can kind of use that to justify all the stupid coincidences that happen from now on.
There's no such thing as a coincidence.
It's true.
As Pucci turns to the camera.
Okay, so yeah,
that guy actually cosplayed Pucci as well.
I saw that. I remember.
Good.
I remember that.
Dude's like the best live action Pucci.
It was like unironically perfect.
He had the hat look too. Also, he had like both tires. But yeah, so we get the backstory with the little baby who died from birth. The mother switches the baby with the twins, fraternal twins of Pucci and Weather. Which
I'm sorry. I think you mean Wes Aquamarine.
My favorite Metal Gear character, Wes Aquamarine. It's very funny, but yeah. So that whole debate starting of what is Pucci's skin color. So people don't understand that there is an occurrence where like twins can come up looking differently, and it's actually different. Like there are cases where twins have been born where both have different fathers.
Yeah,
in different skin colors. It can shit happens, man. Genetics are fucking weird.
And the whole point too, they even say they're fraternal, so they're not identical. Like that's with fraternal twins, there can be like like I mean, if you look at fraternal twins, they look different. Like the genes are different.
Yeah, like people like there's also like on top of there can be skin conditions. Like people have. I think the conditions where people have like the they lose like the pigment like, blotches under.
Oh, vitiligo.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can't say.
I've seen somebody who had like over like 80% of them, and it just looks like it's crazy looking.
Yeah,
like, and like you wouldn't even like sometimes you can't even like couldn't tell what nationality they are with it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, the whole debate is stupid.
So yeah, and just one thing I want to say too. I remember seeing I think it was one of those like old cringe videos that was posted. There was two twins that were on like some Australian like show, and the whole point was
the Vinky twins.
No, it wasn't the Vinky twins. It was two girls, and one girl was very fair skinned, and she might have even had blonde hair, and the other girl was dark skinned, like she was like black. If you saw her, you would say she's black, and they were like fraternal twins, and I believe one of the parents was black and the other was white, and
it was Pucci's dad was black.
In this it looks like Pucci, but in this interview, so it was on like the news because they're like, oh wow, look at this funny little occurrence. The Australian reporter or news lady that's interviewing them says like the most fucked up thing. She like implies that the white girl was like luckier to have been like to have received the white genes.
Oh my god.
And like the faces of the girls are just like, oh my god.
Did you really just say that?
Like, how could you fucking say that? Like, the way she's just like, oh, I bet you're happy, aren't you? It's
Unhinged
like
Australians.
Yeah, literally. I was like, it's one of those horrible like oh, you cringe so bad. This awful racist woman.
Fucking Australia.
But yeah, no. But just to go back, like that is a real thing that can happen. Like fraternal twins can have like extremely different features.
Genetics are fucking crazy. Shit can happen. Like wild shit can happen.
Yeah, the whole thing about different fathers is fucking insane.
It's crazy, but
that doesn't even sound real.
It just happens when women sleep around sometimes.
She just gets caked in
2 different fucking fathers. I watched enough Mari episodes to know that's true. But yeah, so also Pucci just gives him like a piece of the arrow, like it's like when you're playing an RPG and some like late game bad guy gives you like an item early on that comes back around and just gives you like a boost or a transformation like halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we get the backstory of like Pucci, like how he got to the priesthood, his sister Perla, Weather and his horrible hair does not look like his hat.
He looks like a dweeb.
He looks like a
he doesn't
dweeb.
really go to school. It seems like he just works. Which is funny.
And unfortunately, Perla falls in love with her brother.
And one thing I want to say about all this, it's very like, it's got like a very classic kind of like almost Shakespearean tragedy element where there's like, or like a Greek tragedy where, there's like a switch at birth and then there's like accidental sins being committed. And I like that. I feel like Araki definitely wanted to channel that, but I think it's clumsily... It's all like clumsily inserted into like this one backstory that's essentially, I think, like 2 or 3 chapters. I wish that it had been like maybe a little more well thought out.
3 chapters.
It was 3 chapters. Okay.
Yes. I'm thinking of like the Folgers commercial. For like you're my present.
Yeah. Oh my god. The incest Folgers commercial. Which I love. Like it's kind of like going back to like Oedipus. Like the whole idea of Oedipus. It's like the idea was, okay, well, there's this what's the word? There's prophecy that my son will kill me and then fucking marry my wife, his mom. So what I'll do is I'll send the son away. And then, of course, that ends up making everything happen. That like Oedipus comes back, kills his father by accident, and then fucks his mom by accident. Kind of the same thing happening here. It's like just a little reverse. Like Pucci didn't want them to like fuck and have sin happen, but he accidentally got his sister killed.
Damn! If only the woman didn't say everything. I didn't have priest's confession or confidentiality, so that I couldn't tell anybody.
He is very committed to the confidentiality clause.
Even though he's not really, he's still like, he's not officially. He didn't train for priesthood, but he wasn't the actual like priest for there because he was just there cleaning.
Yeah, he was only like 16 when this all happened, right?
I think he's 15.
Yeah, he's pretty young.
And it's just like, oh my god, like I need to stop him from fucking my sister, so I'll get this guy to do it. Unfortunately, that man was a racist and a KKK member. We can't say so. Yeah,
they don't actually allude to that. Like
that was cut.
They basically say everything but KKK in this episode.
They're hoodless KKK members who are racist Southern fucks.
Yeah, the narration really implies like the history of like legalized violence towards black people.
Yeah.
And
they do
like how there's even a line. It's like a century earlier than this was all legal. Which I guess the math is a little off on that, but
yeah. So yeah, we get the whole fuck scene. Whether it's like. It's lynched, but it's a very loose rope from what we see in the thing where he's just like being strangled to death.
Yeah. So in the manga, they actually did have like the pointed hoods, correct?
Yes.
Because that's what I remember.
They are KKK members.
Yeah, they like explicitly have that mentioned.
Yes.
I can understand why they didn't do that, but also at the same time, I don't know. Like, I guess they made the point.
I'm trying to think. I can only think of like Hellsing is the only thing I think they actually had KKK members in that fucking anime. So
it's just such a, I mean, it's such an American thing. And I do have to say, like, all things considered, I mean, it's kind of like, it's a little tasteless to like involve the KKK in like your fantasy story. But overall, the way that it's presented, especially from like a non-American point of view, it is like decently presented as like how horrific this thing is. Very
violent, very rapey, no matter like what you do, if you had any contact or like any, I guess, lineage towards like, you know, any other race, it's fucked.
Yeah, and I have to be that guy. But like, so the whole reason why they actually want to murder they do murder him, or they try to. The whole reason they try and murder Wes Aquamarine, I can't say Aquamarine.
Just say Weather, because everybody calls him Weather.
His name is Wes Aquamarine.
Everybody calls him Weather, Jim.
Which also is really funny. That is like such a stupid, like, he didn't have his powers. My
friends call me Weather.
Imagine that happening to any human.
Mr. West, call me Aquamarine.
Call me Mr. Aquamarine. But so, he is alleged. So his mom allegedly had a child with a black man. And that is why
they're
are
very
killing
rich.
him.
The Pucci's.
Not Pucci. No, I'm talking about Weather's mom.
Okay, I'm not sure to say rich, but he said she took good care of the boy.
She just says that she took good care of the boy, which he's working in high school. I think she's fucking.
He's working in high school as a delivery boy, and he fucking took a thief out by throwing a can into the window and then throwing another can through that to hit the guy.
Yeah, but like, so it's presumed that he has like a half. He's like whatever. Like one of his father was black, and that's why they want to kill him. But like, is not a Perla also like her father or grandfather is black? Like, it's just interesting to me that they don't like have. I from my memory, I thought it was supposed to be like sort of like the fear that white women were going to be like taken. I thought it was supposed to be like, oh well, this black man was trying to marry a white woman, like we'll kill him. But no, seems to be just that like, oh, we found out they were black, so we want you to like die.
Yeah. And I was like,
this is really uncomfortable to talk about on our fucking
fuck
JoJo
your
podcast.
Brother. No, what if fuck my brother, says her. They fucking kiss and it's very.
What if Pucci showed up? He's like, wait, and he's explained everything, and they're all like, oh shit, what? Okay, well we'll just go home then.
It's a whole misunderstanding then.
It's basically the scene from fucking Django where all the KKK guys are like
oh yeah, like the hoods are very uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're having like the goofy scene.
I just think of like this. I always think of Blazing Saddles, where like to lure out the KKK member to get a disguise out, they pull out the sheriff and says, "Where the white women at?" And then they beat him up behind the rock.
I do remember that.
Because I need a disguise. Blazing Saddles good. Django probably good.
I've never seen it.
That's a very good movie.
I don't like Woody Allen very much. Oh wait, that's not Woody Allen.
No. I'm gonna see if you can
Woody
name it.
Harrelson.
No. No Woody.
Barry Allen.
No.
Robin Hood Men in Tights. I've seen that one.
Okay. Do you know the director / star?
Not off the top of my head. I can't remember.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks. Thank you.
Maker of what's it called? History of the World and Spaceballs.
Yes, and Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes. Among many other things.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't fuck with his movies. Really.
I love Mel Brooks movies, so. But yeah, so I guess and then basically, the stand arrow activates, and they both have their stands because they're brothers. Families stands activate when one person gets hit by the arrow.
Sometimes.
Most of the time.
It would be funny if Koichi's like dog got a fucking stand.
Koichi's mom and sister that were in that one episode with the lock.
That's true.
They also should be getting stands or eggs.
Yeah, eggs.
I don't know. You think it's hard to like when you think about it that way. You met family members like, I guess because I guess it only the Joestar family line can have because my Josuke's mom doesn't have one or like, it's fucking weird to try to think about like.
It'd be funny if Hermes' dad just like wakes up with a stand.
Hermes' sister had it awaken.
But she died.
It would be funny, like when Pucci gets stabbed with the arrow, his sister comes back to life with a stand or something.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, he also gets her memory disc, which is, yeah. And we had the whole thing of what's it called? They had their epic standoff essentially, and Pucci just one shots him and sends him to jail for undisclosed crime.
Yeah. So, and this is when Heavy Weather finally like manifests.
Yeah.
And also, he can't die.
Yeah, he tried to throw himself off a cliff, shooting himself, but the goo from the snails.
The part when he like puts the gun to his head and pulls the trigger like 5 times is the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's like the back. I think it's probably one of the better. It is a weird backstory, but it's a pretty good backstory for.
Yeah,
JoJo.
It's good. I was kind of dreading it. They definitely like softened some of like the more sensitive elements of it. Which I think it's fine. Like it's not really like I don't come to JoJo because I want to see like the edgiest shit ever.
When you get main,
I
want to
see the funny little guy punch the other guy.
Yeah, but you gotta get that main villain backstory and have it either be really weird or really good.
And I think it is good. Like I like the idea of Pucci as like a character that has been like abused by destiny. Like he sees this as like the whole like taking heaven thing is his way to like reclaim power over his lost. It's very much like how Diavolo is like all obsessed with fate. Yeah. Except this is better because he doesn't talk about it every 5 seconds. It's just like it's like a background element to his whole story.
Yeah, Diavolo's like backstory is like a vague, like short, like backstory thing. It's very mysterious and creepy, and you don't know much else about that.
Yeah,
and like there's like Kira, you don't have much backstory for.
Which is the best part about Kira is that he's just a dude. He's just like. a total like blendable, like he would just blend into the background.
Like part one was the Dio backstory.
Yeah.
And part 2 is just like, they're the Pillar Men. They're they're ancient.
They're just superior life forms.
And not until you get like Pucci probably has some of the better development, and like the best ones coming in the part after of like the main villain still. And part 8 not so much. Not at all. barely anything.
That what a letdown.
But I guess we try to get to the last episode. The differences for this episode: Pucci's ancestors referred to as a famous clergyman instead of a pope.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. Whether having a tan is not mentioned by Perla's ugly friends. I added the ugly part because they're fucking ugly.
Oh wait, so they mention he has a tan?
They mentioned, but whether having a tan is mentioned having a tan inside the
manga.
Which makes sense because they're in the fucking South.
Yeah, and also
he's white as hell. He's a freaking white bread. KKK members at Lynch West are replaced with hoodless angry mob. Of course, we talked about.
It was weird because like it looked like they still had cloaks on, but they just didn't have the hood. It was
just like edited out.
Yeah, it was weird. It just the designs were weird. Yeah, and of course Perla got like violated.
Yeah. Whether sentencing after losing his memories is added, whether joking about turning into a snail being good for articulation has been removed.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
The scene of Jolyne's group in Versus deciding to drive towards Weather has been extended slightly and now takes place before Weather and Anasui begin fighting Pucci. That scene happens like during the fight.
That's really funny. That's really funny. That was probably a good pacing decision.
Yeah.
Wow, there were a lot of changes to this arc.
I guess so.
I guess when you have 13 fucking chapters to adapt, you have to really reorganize stuff, which I think was done well here. Like,
yes.
I mean, it's been a minute since I've read part 6, but
like I said, this part 6 is very hazy to me, and this is like a welcome improvement for pacing wise. So better than like part 4 had that with that what is it called, like Cheap Trick, Superfly. And oh my god, what was Cheap Trick, Superfly, and what was the paper? Enigma.
Yeah, Enigma. Wait. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Yes. That was all combined in like a 3-part episode, which I kind of liked because it was very like 24. But yeah, so the last episode for Heavy Weather Part 3, we get the hilarious like scene of Donatello driving Hermes and Jolyne and Emporio.
Oh, I didn't mention yet. I love Jolyne's snail boobs.
Her snail boob design.
I'm obsessed with Jolyne. Has like 2 perfect snail
Still
shells on her boobs.
Not nearly the size of Hermes' giant boobies.
Yeah, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast.
We have.
Okay, we talk about it every time Hermes is on screen. Hermes has some of the biggest tits.
When Hermes' tits aren't on screen,
like any JoJo character ever.
When Hermes' tits aren't on screen, everybody asking should be, where are the titties? Where are the titties?
It is insane how large her breasts are.
It's great.
They're just absolutely massive.
So yeah, we basically get the main fight of like Weather versus Pucci and Anasui, like all fighting. Like Weather gets his leg shut off. Pucci's like,
so yeah, they like. What happened? Is it White Snake? I guess punching them, right?
I guess
that's what happened.
Blind Pucci just fucking long range shot him. I don't know because he just like fucking one shots his leg off, and they do the cool thing. I think I did ask forever. I forget what episode on, but like using his stand as a phantom limb. But
yes.
I thought it was going to be something more of using your own stand as your own limb. But his for Weather. I think that's really cool though.
It is cool, but also like
practically like
using your own stand to be cooler.
I feel like we've seen Anasui has to control it. Right?
Yeah, which would make it really difficult because
you had no coordination.
I don't know.
It's like a three-legged race essentially, of like trying to like maneuver that. Like thinking about that, but yeah, that happens. We get some weird shit like you can learn Pucci blinds himself by taking tiny mini discs out of his eyeballs,
which I absolutely adore.
Hilarious. It's stupid, and some other like stuff happens with like he controls and because he makes like little like he uses the Weather to make spike blood, and
which is really cool. I like this too.
Feet wounds are gross.
The fact that Pucci keeps like stepping in the same, like the spikes keep going in the same wound gave me like such cringe.
That didn't hurt nearly as much because it went through the same hole that was already
there. No, that hurts even more.
Huh? And
it's like when you bite your lip and then you bite your lip again. Ugh.
And what's it called? So yeah, to get it out of it, he has Anasui to control his mind by putting his head. Like, I'm like, he can't alter memory discs or anything. He removes them, but so I'm like, is that supposed to be him like going for the disc and just like scratching it? But like, no, it doesn't make sense. He can't alter memories like that too much, other than implanting other people's memories. Like, he does that with like one of the monsters of the week or stands of the week, where he like makes them like, I think they commit suicide if they lose or something.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
was it during the heist, maximum security?
Maybe.
Because there's a whole thing where what's his face makes him. Anasui makes one guy kill himself by walking forward. That was funny.
What, Dragon's Dream?
No, rando guy.
D&G.
Oh, it was D&G. That's right. Yeah.
D&G, and then fucking Dragon gets his legs turned into fucking springs.
Which I still hate that.
Yeah, there's a saying he does that, so he can like have weird. I don't understand how he can like alter memories too much. Cause I feel like that would be your main power if you had that shit. Because like once you make contact with somebody, you're basically your slave.
Yeah.
But he only does it when he's in like even he has him like a puppet. It's like a marionette puppet where you're just dragging Anasui around until like, oh yeah, you got a fucking spike in your throat now, which is gross.
And it's weird because Anasui, like, he's able to fight it by like not looking up. Like he looks down at the ground so that he doesn't see like the secret spike that Weather's making out of Pucci's own blood, which is like okay, like, so he has some control, I guess.
It's like it's really weird to have like two convoluted stands fighting each other.
Yeah, I've said this before, and I'll say it again probably in a few episodes, but part 6 is like the absolute like power creep of stands.
Oh yeah,
these stands are just too complicated.
Yeah, people are gonna argue that in part 8. I think.
I don't know. I feel like most of part 8 stands are very
specific.
straightforward.
They're very specific.
Yeah, they're not like the power creep isn't there. Like the convoluted nature sometimes. Toru is. Yeah. Toru's power just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like,
it just can do whatever.
Yeah.
But we think of like Ozone Baby, it has a pressure thing, but you have to bury this Lego White House first.
Yeah, also there's like all these rules about like being in certain rooms, and you can't like open doors because it like breaks the pressure.
Yeah.
It makes all the pressure like flood out. I don't know how pressure works.
Like, yeah, a little tornado chase after you, and it goes off your breath. Like,
yeah, I mean, these aren't like, I don't know. There's something about like the situations in Jolyne that like make them feel less insane than these. Like,
yeah.
Not Dolce & Gabbana. Versus his whole thing is like so elaborate. Like we were talking about it. Like you said, why wouldn't he just like surely there could have been like another memory of like poison being spilled or like
toxic waste stuff.
Yeah, or even in the hospital because you said it's
the Challenger.
In the like the Challenger explosion. Like, well, that happened in the air. That didn't happen on the ground.
Still crashed and burned.
It did, but in tiny million pieces.
Yes.
But
there's many rocket probably test sites by NASA that just crashed and burned, manned or unmanned.
But it's funny like how specific
car crashes
he makes it. Like, it's not like something small. It's got to be this big plane crash. Like, but it's just, I don't know. Part 6 has this kind of big climactic because I think Araki was really like, this is the end of JoJo. Like, that's what he was really thinking when he.
I'm gonna have my elaborate ideas that I wrote many pages about. Just gonna put them out there now.
Little did he know, 20 years later, he would still fucking be writing it and launching a new part.
Yeah, in February. Who knows when we're gonna see that? But yeah. So basically, the fight happens. They get very close to finishing Pucci off, and then Jolyne ruins it by almost crashing into the scene. Weather loses by getting donated.
He does.
Donatello fucking dies because he gets in the mist. He gets replaced by Pucci.
Yeah, and then killed by Pucci.
I guess
it's a way for Pucci to kind of like tie up loose ends. Like,
and then that's basically Weather's dead. They have his disc. We get some nice Jolyne being heartbroken for a guy she had one arc with. I'm not wrong, right?
Also, we did the math. How old would he be? He'd be like 40 something. Jolyne 19 years old, right?
Yeah, because he was born in 72.
Yeah, and this takes place in 2011.
I'm assuming he's like in his like early 40s, unless he the wiki has like age something. Because him and Pucci are the same age, and Pucci looks like age 39. Damn,
20-year age difference.
Yes. So him and Pucci are both 39 years old. So yeah, and I think there's like nice moment of everybody being sad about Weather. Like it's so funny. There's also one point where like Anasui and Weather are the only two like we're doing this for FF. I'm like, fuck yeah, you guys are.
Yeah, I like that they acknowledge FF.
Because they both have, well, at least not. Yeah, Weather has a whole communication because like there was that part where she had them on walkie to get her wet.
Yeah. Yep.
And then and they even Ansel had the whole going through mass security with her, and they thought she was trying to be the boss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, great. I'm glad the girls don't mention her nearly as much.
Nah, they didn't like her. They were jealous that she could make her boobs get really big.
Bigger than Irvy's. Irvy's like, fuck that bitch. But
plotting her death every day.
And all heartbroken. Like I never like. I'm like,
I don't.
Jolyne has a crush on him. I'm like, I don't. They had Jumping Jack Flash, I kind of like to forget about, but
I like to forget about Jumping Jack Flash too. I think it's fine. I don't really care. I don't care about Weather as a character very much. So when he dies, I don't really feel anything.
Yeah.
I think, and spoilers for the end of this, in case you're one of those people. I love the kind of way that Pucci is like Weather kills Pucci in the end, like. The way that Empirio is able to use his stand to kill Pucci is like really fitting. It's a great
he still gets his revenge.
Yeah, it's just like a good like earned ending.
But I do like this fight. I do love side characters fighting the main villain. I think.
Oh yeah, it's really good.
I said this is still like compared to like Metallica versus King Crimson, or you think Jotaro and Koichi like fighting
Sheer Heart Attack.
Yeah. Or like even like the Cat Queen fighting Dio. Like even like Caesar fighting what's it called? Wamuu.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, it's really funny how there's so many parallels. The Caesar and the Kakyoin ones are like really close to this because just like even the placement in the manga,
giving them
story.
A final. They died. They have a W still.
Yeah, and they're also getting giving you that last bit of hate towards the enemy. Like you hated this guy before, but now he just killed this cute little anime boy.
And he hired the KKK. And he killed FF.
True. Yeah.
Like, it's very funny to think about it that way. But I'm like trying to think where it ranks of like I think even 7 and 8 have those where like the side or the Joe Bro fight the main character to a losing effort to varying degrees, of course. Like,
yeah,
with like Mamazuku and Gyro.
Yeah,
and even like Diego and Hot Pants. But
that's true. Yeah, well, that's a little different. I would say the Gyro one
different.
is more.
It is different, but still, like, it's still side characters going after the main villain like that. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a trend. It's something that Araki uses.
I like to do it, but yeah, I think overall it's still like a fairly good adaptation of this fight, because like there's no manga differences on here I can look up because the wiki didn't update that, but
Zam, come on.
But no, I think overall really solid episode. Like it's still picking up better, and there's been some like weird things of animation that were like very smooth out of nowhere. If you notice some of those.
The when Dio hands Pucci the arrow was like extremely sensually animated. Let me just say that.
I want to animate the Dio handing off the arrow scene.
I want to animate the Dio sucking off Pucci's toes.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about that. Where where Pucci had like bent toes and he walks with a limp, and Dio's like, "Yo, let me just do some vampire magic to unbend those, and now you can walk fine." But I took your shoe though. That's mine.
He's a creep. He's a little freaking creep.
Little foot fucker.
There was like this stupid old Machinima series called Sanity Not Included.
Oh yeah, I love Lyle's series. Yeah, I love that series.
It's bad, but like there was one joke that I think about all the time. It was like in Halo most of the time, and this is a scene in Halo, and two guys are talking, and then one guy like zips over to the other guy and like crouches in front of him and like makes dick sucking noises, and then zips back, and the guy's like, "What did you do? Did you suck my dick for half a second?" He's like, "No." So all I can think about in this scene is Pucci like sucking
Dio moving at high speed where he sucked his toes.
Dio sucking Pucci's toes to fix them for like a half second.
They didn't do anything. My job here is done. I'm going back to Egypt. Find me in Egypt once you once you go through your villain or your Joker's moment.
He needs to have his Joker moment.
Once you come a Joker fight, when you start getting that lipstick on, come see me.
Oh my god.
But yeah, anything else like you have? I think overall pretty good, and I think we have two arcs really left, like 6 episodes
3
left.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all heading to the end.
I get like do I even do a Quest test for this arc?
Oh, you have to.
I guess I gotta do if Quest was added to this fight against Pucci.
She'd probably die. Her power is not helping in any feasible way.
Shrinking Pucci though.
Shrinking Pucci and then throwing him like a fastball.
Yeah, Pucci's in close proximity to everybody in this, and Pucci's blind. He can't notice himself being shrunken down.
I don't know. He probably would. You probably feel that, right?
Oh, he would only know if he chose to use Gwess as his like
eyes.
mind control victim.
I don't know. I don't think Gwess would really add. I think Gwess.
And then also, I feel like
Gwess against snails would be bad. Like she just wouldn't be able to fucking do anything. She would just turn into a snail.
I don't know about that. She would figure it out right away.
She would not know.
Like everybody else's IQ can figure out everything else right away. Because they all learned about snails. Like Hermes knows they can reproduce asexually.
That's true.
Instantaneously.
Also, there's the iconic line where Jolyne is like, "Damn, I'm jealous," because they like impale each other with love darts or something. I can't remember exactly the line.
She's horny as hell. Horny on main.
She's extremely horny. Also, another little bit of animation that was cool, and also how Jolyne has like an incredibly high IQ for no reason. She like wraps herself around the tire and like hits the gas and then uses that to like forward momentum to like launch herself. Very cool.
Yeah, I would feel like weather. You could control the weather to do anything. You could summon like fucking more frogs if you wanted to.
You could summon a big lightning bolt that destroys everything.
So you know why Storm's an Omega level mutant X-Men? Because she can literally do anything with weather.
It's true.
Hail the size of like fucking volleyballs.
Volleyballs! Oh my god, that'd be terrifying. I really do.
If it happened once, Jim, it can happen anywhere.
I firmly believe that humans will probably get killed off by weather because weather is so powerful. Think about it. The meteor that killed the dinosaurs. He could just make it happen.
Well, that's not weather.
I would argue that's
And plus, they already had somebody that did that.
I'm going to make a funny pun. It's a meteorological event. Meteorological event. Ha ha ha.
Epic.
All right.
He can make acid rain.
He could. Acid rain wouldn't like... Sam just gave me a look as
JoJo, if... And JoJo turned like the hardest acid rain ever that literally melted the skin off of the bones.
You could probably make a volcano. Like I would consider. What is weather? Like what is weather? It's any natural. I would say it's any sort of natural thing.
I don't think it's a volcano or like a
weather condition
or an earthquake or anything though. But like
I would say that an earthquake is a weather condition.
Like you can think of, like you can control like a hurricane or some shit and like make like typhoons or like. Tsunamis happen.
All right, we need Urban Dictionary. What is weather? Okay.
What is weather?
Weather, the state of the atmosphere at a place and time as regards to heat, dryness, sunshine. Okay, that does say atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Simple definition for weather. It is, okay, weather does pertain to the atmosphere, but volcanoes shoot a bunch of hot ash into the atmosphere.
That's coming from the ground. That's coming from the earth, though. Not like...
Where the fucking frogs come from? The fucking frogs come from the earth.
They came from the clouds, Javi, from those nimbus cumulus clouds.
The frogulous clouds.
The frogs
the
came from clouds.
He could easily make a giant ash cloud, like Pompeii ash cloud, and just make
I could make Pompeii happen?
He could make Pompeii happen right now, but only the air parts.
I turned Florida into Pompeii too, motherfuckers, yeah.
Good.
And then, I don't know, man, it's a bad bit. It'd be a bad bit that weather would do. Like, I made Pompeii too.
Bad bit. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, weather. This is not funny, man. This is hilarious. Just one bad sense of humor can just make a stand user go crazy.
This would be funny. It removes ozone layer.
Look at I thinned out the atmosphere. You guys can't breathe. But I have my cloud ozone suit on that I made in.
It's true. You can use that. Like, it's a funny little ozone suit.
Like I said, it's one of the stands that you can just think of for like hours and like. Find loopholes or like more or just like additional effects it could do.
Yeah, since we don't have like a true Gwess test this week, question of the week: what is the most OP thing that Weather could do with his stand besides the whole like
Google
like a snail transformation thing?
Yeah, what other weird weather events that we don't even think about with our pea brains? But
I still think big lightning. Oh, isn't there something like ball lightning? Have you heard? You're laughing at me, but it's real. Have you heard of ball lightning?
I think
it's basically, I think it's like plasma. It's like when there's like a lot of plasma in the sky, and it just shoots a fucking like massive lightning balls.
Interesting.
You should make 4 of those, and that could kill someone.
He can make thunder so loud that it just ruptures his eardrums.
That's true. You can imagine thunder in the same room as
he can make a fucking tornado.
Yeah, there you go.
Literal reverse tornado.
He could make like a hell tornado, like a fire tornado.
He can make a Sharknado.
He could make
it happened in a movie. He can make it happen.
He literally could make a Sharknado.
I'm pretty sure a Sharknado actually may have happened at one point, where a tornado brought like a shark from the sea and like into land.
Is that really how we're gonna describe a Sharknado? Definitionally,
it's enough for JoJo. If you can make rods a thing.
Well, they're just a creature that exists in this world.
I'm like, it's just like fucking Underground, where we can just like.
Do you think Rocky thinks rods are real?
I think he does.
He probably does.
He probably does.
He saw that like Monster Quest episode at 3 a.m. and he was like, "Oh wow,
when
these
he
are real
writes an
creatures."
actual like Bigfoot call on the JoJo lands when we go to the island of Bigfoot. Or whatever we go to.
Now we're talking. The island of
Now
Bigfoot.
This is JoJo
now
Lands.
This is fucking JoJo Lands.
This is the JoJo Land.
I want to see the island of Bigfoot. I fucking go to the island of Bigfoot.
Island of Sasquatches with Yetis and Bigfoots and Sasquatch calls where he does the
oh. There is a guy on TikTok who he is one of those guys that's like a Bigfoot believer.
There's way cooler crypto creatures than fucking Bigfoot.
But he's like the president of the Bigfoot Club or whatever. But people send him videos of cryptids and he reacts to them and he pretends.
Is it like Jake Paul putting like the sunglasses on to put the season colors for the first time? Like
kind of. But I think he believes and like so. There's this video and it's such a clear. It's like.
Is it like the little goblin running across the camera that one video?
Yes, it literally is like so it's this goblin that like is like living in like the Amazon rainforest and he's like talking like gibberish. He's like Duka Hudu. It sounds like shitty Star Wars talk. And the man, this Bigfoot man who presumably just saw this video for the first time like 20 minutes ago, is translating line by line what the goblin is saying. And he's like, "Go away. My town. They stole from me.
I'm not afraid of you anymore."
It's literally like He it's so fun and all these like the worst CG like fake goblin video you can imagine. He's like, this creature is afraid for its life, so it's running at top speed.
It's afraid. Honestly, if I saw that damn thing in my living room, I would step onto nothing more than a small brown stain. Like the world of crypto stuff is like crypto bros and cryptozoology are like fucking horrific.
Oh, I love the idea. Like, I'm gonna make a meme right now. You know the meme where it's like the two hands like grabbing like the two like shaking hands.
Yeah,
it's gonna be like crypto bros and cryptozoologists, and then the middle thing is worshiping things that aren't real would be the thing that they're high fiving over.
I love one cryptid and one cryptid only, and that is the Mothman.
I agree.
I will love the Mothman till forever.
I want to make a pilgrimage to Mothland.
That is that's on my bucket list, to go to the Mothman statue and
Bumblefuck, West Virginia.
And fuck the Mothman statue.
Fuck the Mothman statue.
Read some Mothman Rule 30, or read some fan fiction of the Mothman.
You type in Mothman X Reader.
Do you agree with the Mothman being the best?
I love Mothman. I've always loved Mothman.
Also a great persona in slash demon in the SMT Persona game.
I don't really care about like cryptids too much. I think the Jersey Devil is kind of cool.
Jersey's cool, but like once you live in Jersey, you're like, I'm tired of this fucker.
Yeah, like I don't quite. The lore is not as compelling.
It's kind of cool when you first hear it, but then it's just like, eh.
The lore behind Mothman is more interesting.
And no one wants to go to the Pine Barrens in New Jersey.
That's true.
Pine Barrens fucking suck.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a wasteland.
Yeah,
but with trees.
The tree wasteland. And I'm like, no one wants to go there. You can't get, or like I guess like is Blair Witch Maryland or Delaware?
I've never seen it.
I think Blair Witch is like Maryland, which is also like go into fucking trees.
Is that why there's all those crab cakes in the third act?
Yes, exactly. It's that's why exactly why that happens.
Like, these crabs everywhere.
And
that's what
the Blair Witch was Johan Delaware's wife.
Johan Delaware. I have nothing else to say.
Anything else? What am I plugging up? The hole inside the chest of weather?
Yes.
All right, thank you all so much for listening. We kind of went on a lot of tangents there, but hey, heavy weather is one of those stands where you kind of just got to talk about.
This is what you guys come here for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you.
If you like the video, then leave your comments. If you like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and get ready for in February. Hey, JoJo Land's coming out. We're gonna be back in Joe Kakaka fashion. So be prepared for that and some other surprises along the way. Instead, you can follow the podcast on Twitter or me or Jim separately. You can also join our Discord to discuss, I guess, your predictions. We're going to have some in January to get in a prediction thing, so get ready for that. We're going to have something.
We have one.
What are we cooking, Jim? What are we cooking?
We have one image of a hastily drawn background that Araki did, and that we have
and
so much to speculate on.
And the information of a descendant of Joseph Joestar.
It's true.
That's all we have. That's why I did think it would be funny that like he does have, if it is like an island adventure, just have him crash a boat or his boat nonstop into islands.
It's like Odysseus, but he crashes the boat every single time.
Yes. But we're super excited for that. So yeah, we have we have a Ava series that I'm not sure if the last part of that is out yet or not, but as of now we watched it all. So check out that series; it's fun. And with that, I think that's it. We don't really know what's gonna be next after Ava, so for our side series. So
no, we haven't really talked about that yet.
Yeah, we put in, we at the end of the last Ava rebuild review. I'm not sure if that's out or not by now, but
it should be by the time this episode goes out. It will be.
If it is, you can put comments on there because I think that was a big question of like what you want us to check out next.
Yeah.
So. Or you put it on here. I don't care. Do you?
Sam will look anyway.
Jim will look, not me.
I'll show Sam all the good comments.
I can't look at YouTube comments. I'll die.
I'm gonna show Sam only the good ones.
How to kill me? Let me hear my own voice. Look at myself in a mirror, and then reading YouTube comments.
Sam cannot perceive himself. It will kill him.
I refuse.
If you ever see Sam and you want to kill him, hold a mirror up in front of him.
I'm like Medusa. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Just like Medusa.
Literally.
Hearing or seeing myself, I'll die.
It's true. You live for the moment.
Yes. That's why I'm in disguise when we gotta be at KatsuCon. When JoJo comes out, we're gonna be at that fucking convention.
Yes. It's very funny. How funny is it?
We're doing it again. But
we should do like a man on the street thing where we walk around and interview people.
Have you seen the JoJo lands? Should do that.
Have you seen the robot? I need to go watch that video right now.
We're gonna interview JoJo cosplayers of like their point of views.
That would be kind of funny, actually.
Man on the streets.
And then we could be like, hey, we're a humongous JoJo channel.
Not really.
We're called Exports. No, I'm kidding. Or am I?
Or are we? As we wear our what's it called? Oh my god.
Our penis enlargers, you're gonna say?
Yes, I the words came from my head.
Cosplay?
Yes, probably cosplay. But yeah, anything else to I think we went on for an hour, so
I want to end this. Let's end it.
We will see you next time on the Sea Moon arc.
I'll see you next moon. Bye.